Let's say you're given the equation of a line, and you have to find the slope and the y-intercept of that line based on the equation. Do you know how to do a problem like that? Well, if not, this is the perfect video for you. I'm going to show you exactly how you can find the slope and y-intercept of a line based on its equation, and then we're going to take that a step further and sketch a graph of that line based on that slope and y-intercept. This is going to be a very important skill for anyone taking precalculus or any sort of math based around precalculus, and you're going to build on it a lot as you go on to higher levels of math. So it's going to be a very important skill to start with. And by the end of this video, you should have it down pretty well. If that sounds good, be sure to stick around to the end of the video. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First question we're going to do is we're going to find the slope and y-intercept of the equation of the line. Then we're going to sketch the line. So this example here is it's given in a pretty convenient form, because what we have already been given, what the question told us right off the bat, obviously we're trying to find the slope and the y-intercept of the equation. And here's the equation we've been given. Well, fortunately, the form that this linear function is in already is the slope-intercept form. So the reason why it's called that is because the numbers that are in our equation are the slope and the intercept, the y-intercept of the line. So if you ever see a line or any equation that is in the form y equals mx plus b, where m, basically the number that you're multiplying by x, keep in mind, in this case, x is your variable, your input variable, y is your output variable. M and B are both constants, which basically means you want to treat M and B as numbers. In this case, they're kind of given by these generic letters that represent a number. But in this example here, you can see the number that's being multiplied by X is actually a number. And then this number that we have added on to the end here, that's not being multiplied by X, just some constant number. We also have a number. This right here is a 6, the number 6. This right here is the letter B, so just be kind of careful. I know a 6 and a B can look kind of similar, but just to kind of separate that there. But what we have already been given is a line that is already in the slope-intercept form. When you have a line in this form, the number that's being multiplied by M is always going to be your slope, or I'm sorry, the number that's being multiplied by X is going to be your slope. And then the number that's not being multiplied by X, basically just the number that is all by itself, the constant being added or subtracted on at the end, that's going to be your y-intercept. So in this case, just based on the form that this equation was given in, we already know that the slope of the line is -3/2 and the y-intercept positive 6. So if we were given an equation of a linear function, an equation of a line that was in maybe not this convenient slope-intercept form, we would want to algebraically kind of manipulate the equation to get it into this form, because once you get it into this form, it's as straightforward as saying the number that's being multiplied by X is your slope and the number that's not being multiplied by X is your y-intercept. So just something to kind of keep in mind if you were given a little bit of a different form of an equation from the beginning. Now what we need to do is go ahead and sketch this line. So let's start out just by drawing some XY axes here. So your x-axis is going to be your horizontal axis, your y is going to be your vertical axis. Then we just want to kind of number this, just add a few labels here. So 2, 4, 6, same thing on the y-axis. Okay, so once we've got our xy axis drawn, we want to draw a line with a y-intercept of 6 and a slope of -3/2. So how do you do that? Typically, I think it's easiest to start with the y-intercept. So we're going to start with our y-intercept, which is 6. What that means is our line is going to intersect with the y-axis, this vertical axis, at +6, which is right here. So we know that we are going to have a point at 6 on the y-axis. So we know that we have to go through this point. Once you have your y-intercept point drawn, then you can start kind of figuring out some other points that your equation or your line goes through based on the slope. So a slope is always going to be rise over run. Okay, all that means is how many units you go up divided by how many units you go over to the right. So in this case, if we have -3/2, you want to basically think of your rise as -3. So you're going to go down 3 units instead of up 3 units for every 2 units you go over to the right. If your slope is ever negative, just make sure you're going down that many units and then to the right this many units instead of up this many units and then to the right. So think of your run as always counting units to the right, and your rise is going to be units up if it's positive, units down if it's negative. So we want to go down 3 units for every 2 units we go to the right. So basically what that means is we're just going to start at the one point we know. We're going to go down 3 units, 1, 2, 3, for every 2 units we go to the right. So then we're going to go 1, 2 to the right. So that puts us at x equals 2, y equals 3, because we went down 3 units from 6, gets us down to 3. And then over to the right, 2 units from 0 gets us to 2. Then we could just keep doing that over and over and keep getting a bunch of different points that lie on this line. So then we could go down from 3. We're going to go down 3 units because our slope is -3/2. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, which gets us down to 0. And then we're going to go over to the right 2 units. From 2 gets us to 3 and 4. So then we know we go right here. And then we could keep on doing that. So we'd go down to -3, over to 6, put this right about there. And then all we really have to do from that point is connect the dots. So I don't know. Let's see how well I can do this in a straight line. Might not look too pretty, but shot here. It's not terrible, except for this little bend in line right here. But yeah, it should be a perfectly straight line if you can. So then we get something like this. So this is our line. Y equals -2/2 x plus 6. Because we had our y-intercept of 6, our slope of down 3 units over 2. Down 3 over 2, down 3 over 2, and we get something like that. Now that you know how to find the slope and the y-intercept based on the equation of a line, we want to keep building on that to make sure that you understand how to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept of any given line. That's equally as important and necessary to make sure that you really understand lines and linear functions so that you can ace your homework and tests with whatever questions they decide to throw at you. So go click on that video over there and I'll show you how to do exactly that to make sure that you really have all the knowledge you need about lines and linear functions.